I have a fun, interesting guest. And how do I know she's fun and interesting? Because that's only the kind of guests I have, number one. And number two, I've checked out her Instagram. I've checked out a few of her videos. She's a dog person, so I like her already. And she's also a comedian. She has a podcast, Comedy with Camping or Camping with Comedy. She'll make that clear when I introduce her. But I'm really excited to talk to Aubree Sweeney. Hey, Aubree.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm great. And you mentioned that I'm a dog person. I don't know if you can see him behind me, but I have. Yes, I went to a while ago. I went. This is my highest quality paint work back here. I did a wine and design out in Burbank, and it was like a paint your pet thing. And that's my babes.
Stop it! You did that?
I did, but I mean, you like send them a picture and they stretch it onto a canvas. So it's kind of like a paint by numbers.
Oh, okay.
And there's a professional artist there who's like, makes it not look like kids art. Which is kind of my wheelhouse of acrylic painting, but it was fun.
Please. When my kids are grown, but when my daughter was like 4 or 5, maybe, no, she must have been 6 or 7. We took a class at the Metropolitan Museum of Art that was like a mommy and kid class. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be so great. And you know what? I'm going to discover this undiscovered talent I have in painting. No, I don't have it at all.
Oh, yeah.
I was
like, well, it's still fun.
It was still fun. Yeah. But every week while I was creating it, I was thinking, you know what? This is good. And then at the end, I was like, nope, it's shit. I'm just going to, it's okay. It's not my strong suit.
It's okay. Maybe don't put that one on the refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your pup back. But do you have more than one dog?
No, I just have the one dog, but Cappy, who is actually my fur brother, he takes over a lot of my Instagram because I do spend a lot of time. I'm originally from Nebraska. I'm actually right now in my parents' basement. I'm back home. My birthday's coming up, and I always do a show in my hometown to celebrate my birthday. So, so
Happy
I'm back.
Birthday.
So, thank you. So yeah, Cappy is basically like our other best friend. And then I have a cat named Atlas who I ended up kind of accidentally adopting right at the beginning of COVID. I was out in Long Beach and I was getting ready to leave because there was really nothing to do. And this stray cat was just like, hey girl, like, what are you doing? And I was like, not adopting a cat right now is what I'm doing.
Sorry. Busy.
And then, I ended up like all of the no-kill shelters had already shut down for the pandemic. So I found an emergency vet that like checked, make sure it was like didn't have a microchip or anything like that. And they're like, this is definitely a stray cat, like looking at his battle wounds and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm going to take him to Nebraska. I'll find him a home. I have a great relationship with the Nebraska Humane Society. And I mean, like before we even left the vet, he was like totally my cat. So now I am a kitten owner person. I don't really own him. He's kind of running my life. So,
well, I'm a big animal person. I only have one dog, and actually, I've only had for a while now. I've only had one dog, and meaning I had 2 cats way back when. But yeah, I love animals, and I especially love dogs because they love you like nobody else.
Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing like coming home and then Paco's like, she's here.
She's here. I thought I'd never see you again. Oh my God, I love you so much.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So I don't know. I love that guy.
Oh, the best. So we're going to get to the dog that was part coyote. We're going to get to that because I am fascinated by that. But before that, so you're from Nebraska? Is that where you were born?
Yes. Yep. Nebraska. I grew up here. I left to go to college in Tucson. So I was out in Arizona for about 5 years. And then I moved out to LA after that.
So how long you been in LA?
10 years. And then, well, now things are kind of weird because I'm still based in Los Angeles, but something that kind of weirdly opened up for me were some opportunities in like Nashville and like just the Southeast and the Atlanta area. And for comedy, like I've always for the last 5 years, I bought an RV and I've just been touring the country and like doing shows that way. But one of the like things about the Southeast is since it's always a vacation place, it's very hard unless you've planned 6-10 months in advance to get camping. So during the pandemic, which is still like hard for me to wrap my brain around, but I bought a little beach cottage in Panama City, Florida. So
No kidding.
yeah, so that I would have basically a place to camp when I was working there. So
Wow.
yeah, so now it's just like, I don't even really, I'm in this weird place where I'm like, well, I mean, I am still Los Angeles, but now I own a thing. Like, I don't know. There's just like a lot of, it's just been a very big like shuffle of, like what's going on now. But hey, I mean, you got to take opportunities.
So Panama City, Florida looks so, how'd you land on that?
Well, it is about a 5-hour drive outside of Atlanta. So, I mean, it's a bit of a jaunt, but one of my top favorite things about Los Angeles is being able to surf and the ocean. So I wanted to put myself.
And as a woman who grew up in Nebraska, of course, surfing was in your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up with it.
Some of the best spots, U.S. surfing spots, right there in Nebraska.
Right in the plains.
Oh, yeah. Take a left at that cornfield, and my God, there's a surf spot.
There it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring your snorkel.
Okay. Back up to how you ended up being a surfer when you grew up in Nebraska.
Well, that kind of came with the whole motorhome thing too, because I was finding, I mean, when I first moved out to Los Angeles, I had my little apartment in the city, and it was cool, I mean, because one of the big pulls of Los Angeles.
And you moved to LA to do stand-up.
Actually, for screenwriting, I moved out there to get my MFA in screenwriting. So after I graduated, there was this weird, like,
Where'd you go?
New York Film Academy. It's now it's associated with Warner Brothers, but when I was there, they were on Universal Studios backlot. So it was this really cool program where you're just like there.
Very cool to be on a lot when you're doing screenwriting. Very
totally.
Cool.
Yeah. So from there, I graduated and was very proud of what I had done with my thesis. But I mean, you're still, look at the people that flock to places like LA or New York City every minute of every day. And so I didn't really know exactly what to do. So I ended up going through the Upright Citizens Brigade program while I was there for improv. And one of my instructors said, Aubree, your monologues are a little bit too long for what we're doing here, but they're really great. Like, you have such a structure and just like a knack for stand-up. So off of that advice, I was like, So I went to an open mic in North Hollywood. Sucked so bad. I mean, you don't even there's no more suckage than what I did up there, but I loved it. And it was just right.
Amazing that you totally sucked and you loved it.
The worst. I mean, I feel like anybody who was there is like anybody that was at that open mic was just devastated. They're like, what has happened to us? Why did we have to hear this? Like, I never would have. They all moved home after witnessing me do stand up for the first time.
They followed you into the parking lot and said, honey, this isn't the thing for you. This isn't
for you.
How could you have, what did you love about it if you sucked so badly?
I just loved being on stage. I loved the opportunity, even if the writing wasn't there or if it wasn't a good joke, just that opportunity to like go out there and say it. I think this is funny at home. I said it out loud. Obviously, it's not funny, but I know, I would rather immediately know if something needs work than just like sit with it and be like, well,
you spend 6 months on a screenplay and send it in crickets, and it's like, then you just want to jump out of a window.
Exactly.
That is true. That is such a good point. Like, right away whether you suck or not.
Exactly.
And everybody who listens to the podcast has heard me say this 100 times. I did a little bit of stand-up in the 90s and then a little bit of stand-up about 4 years ago. So I can't really call myself a stand-up because what you really need to earn that title, I didn't put in the hours. But what I did love about it is that autonomy, is that these are my jokes. What do you think? the back and forth that you have with an audience, the fact that you can ad lib, the fact that some ad lib line could take to a second and a third. I mean, I love the immediacy of it as well. And there's something very powerful about it.
Definitely.
You know? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think as I grew as a comedian, because I did enjoy improv, and I learned a lot from Upright Citizens Brigade. And then, as you get that stage presence and you get that comfort on stage, and then it's really takes it to that like connecting opportunity where even though I'm the one that has the mic and I'm doing most of the gabbing, but like we're still connecting, we're sharing these experiences, and it's exactly what you said. It's empowering to just be these moments.
I feel like it should be a conversation. You know what I mean? Like, because you're saying something and sometimes you say a line and you're not looking for the joke, but you just want to make sure they're with you still, you know? And and I really love that. And whether I like that as an audience member, I love that connection. Knowing that the comic is waiting for me and really engaging with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So screenwriter, like get your degree.
Right. You got to get your degree.
Let's see, screenwriting, stand up, and you got sucked in.
I got sucked in. Yeah. I went down the rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden I was full time. I had been doing, like odd stuff. Like everybody I know from LA that was in my program ended up signing up at Central Casting. So we were like running around doing basically just trying to afford to like continue to live in Los Angeles to pursue these dreams. And I got hooked up. I was doing collection calls for a company, which is like the worst job I've ever had in my life. And I was very bad at it because, I mean, if I called you and you were like, oh yeah, I stubbed my toe, I'd be like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll call you in 30 days. Oh, that's a hardship, like I was not a good thing. I was not a good collection call employee at all. But then all of a sudden, it's like fast forward and I'm able to like quit these jobs and buy a motorhome and, and start traveling. It's just been amazing.
How quickly did you start getting paid gigs, and how quickly were you like quit your day job kind of a thing?
I went full-time stand-up. Basically, I think I was I'm horrible at time. I think it was like my 4th or 5th year in was when I was able to just like dive in and go full-time. It was really just luck. A lot of it was luck because I have always been a dog lover. And when I was first getting started, I you'd book like the 3-minute gig or like the 5-minute gig or anything like that. And I'm not knocking it. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to learn and you got to start someplace. But I had a lot of stories about like growing up with dogs and cats and, things that like that. And so I started reaching out to local animal shelters and pet events and was like, hey, can I MC your Halloween event? And that is
so smart.
Well, and it was just fun, and it gave me an opportunity to meet new people. And I went into it really with no goal in mind other than I'm going to get to meet people. This is going to help me be better. And I'm going to have a ton of fun doing it. And it really expedited my career just by doing something because I wanted to do it. And but it's always funny. People still like razz me about it because I have to be very careful because I would seriously just talk about dogs and cats for hours. So I have to remind myself when I'm like planning a set.
One of the sets that I watched of yours, you were like, and if you're wondering if all I do is talk about dogs and cats, yes, that is all I talk about, which I loved. And you were like, yes, dog hair, animal fur all over me. And,
glitter.
And right. That's just who I am and, deal with it. So,
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So,
but I think what's great about that also is part of, I'm a writer and a writing teacher. And one of the things I talk about all the time is, we have to find our voice. You don't want to go up there and try to be another comic. You don't want to write a screenplay and try to be Quentin Tarantino or Nora Ephron. You can be inspired by them, but the minute you try to be them, you're fucked. And also the minute you try to figure out what's the industry looking for, so that's one of the things I liked about you too. I immediately liked you. It's like, oh, well, she does not give a fuck. I don't. Her so much. And the power in that, there's so much power in that.
Yep.
This is it. This is what I got. Maybe I'm for you. Maybe I'm not. But that, right?
Yep, exactly. There was a moment when that happened for me. I was at University of Arizona, and there was our teacher was out for some reason. I don't know, but it was like a TA who was maybe like 2 years older than me. And I had written this story where a dog was basically like reflecting on his life and like what had happened that day. And it's like a senior dog. It was like very moving. And she said, no one's going to buy or read anything where the dogs are talking. And I was like, don't care.
Yeah.
And like
number one, don't care. Number two, bullshit. Did you ever see the fantastic, what is it? The Incredible Journey, which is just 3 animals. And it's like,
and Homeward Bound.
Hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
No one's ever gonna
do that.
Do that.
And it's so funny because it's like a running gag in the Sweeney family. And because I mean, I was furious. That was like one of those, I walked out of class, after it was over, and I like called my mom and I was like, this girl, blah, blah, blah. And that's a great story. And, then the other day, I saw the new Orkin commercial for the like bug people. It's like a German Shepherd. Have you seen this commercial?
No.
It's like a German Shepherd, and he's watching the Orkin lady, and she's got like a thing for the cobwebs, but he's talking. And I was like, I wish that I remembered that TA's name and could find her on Facebook and like start tagging her in this shit.
First of all, she was 2 years older than you. So you're like, honey, get some life experience and get back to me. And number two, learn how to be a teacher, because especially when it comes to writing, especially when it comes to anything creative, you're being so vulnerable when you share something creative, and to go, no one's ever like, is that a good teaching style?
Right. Well, and where does that take your career? Like if you're stuck in a place where you're like, well, I mean, like you're saying, you can't focus on what the industry wants, because what the industry wants changes every single second.
Yeah.
Of every day, basically. I mean, remember when all we saw was vampires, and now all we see is superheroes? So like if I try to catch up and do a superhero, we're going to be back to zombies by the time my superhero.
Absolutely. Or, unicorns or Pegasus, or who
I'd be okay with unicorns.
What?
I like unicorns.
Who doesn't like a unicorn?
Yeah, like that seems like a good brand for like. Just
I mean,
CW.
have you seen Harry Potter?
Yes,
their blood is silver.
I know, right? They're magic,
and their blood can heal you.
Mm-hmm.
Unicorns are fantastic.
They are.
So, well, I love that. It's really funny because the person who I actually interviewed him yesterday, and his name's Paul Green. He's a comic. You might know him. He's an LA comic, actually.
Yes, I do know him. Yeah.
And he also, interestingly, is from Arizona.
Right.
Not from
I think
Nebraska.
That's how I know him. I think we were on a show together in Arizona.
Yeah, and he started out with improv and then segued from improv into stand-up. So it's kind of amazing that would happen. I don't know, 2 days in a row.
Right. It's kind of weird.
So when you called up mom and dad and you said, Mom, Dad, I know I got the undergrad degree and I just got the graduate degree in the screenwriting thing, but I think I'm going to drive around around the country and do stand-up. How'd they take it?
Really wonderful. I'm lucky. My parents have always been super, super supportive on, Aubree, just let her do it. Like, like she's got a plan. She's going to be safe. She's going to be smart about it. And I mean, my mom and dad, even more so, my mom, my dad is not really who you bring for like RV shopping. My mom is more the haggler. But my mom came with, me, got me a great deal on my RV. And so, I mean, just all in all, very, very supportive, very encouraging. I hit the jackpot on that side of things. Yeah, I think
so great.
If anything, what they would prefer is for me to like not go surfing. You know, like,
the surfing makes them nervous.
Yeah,
the surfing makes
well,
them
and
nervous.
It's funny because if I do go surfing, I need to like text my mom. I mean, I'm an adult and I don't mind at all. It's actually kind of makes me feel good. Somebody's worried about me, but I have to send her a text before I go on the water. And then the second you're talking, I'm still wetsuit, hair like splashed across my face. And I got to text her, I'm back at my car. I did not get barbed by a stingray this time. But yeah.
Did you have an encounter with a stingray?
No, I haven't. I have been next to people who have gotten barbed and, you know, and supposedly it's like not that big of a deal and everybody's so cool about it. I think that I will go, it'll happen. And I think that I will be like crazy. You know,
Are there a lot of stingrays? Are there a lot of stingrays off LA in the California waters?
Yes, there is. Yeah. And it's pretty much like from like March to October, you see a lot of them, but I mean, I don't know.
You see dolphins though.
You see dolphins. Well, and that's one thing I'm excited about in Florida is because in Florida you see manatees. So I'm pretty,
but
pretty
manatees are only fresh water.
Are they? I thought they would be in like the bay with. See, I need to learn more about Florida.
I think manatees are only fresh water, but there's all this inland water in Florida. Lots and lots of inland water.
Right.
And there's plenty of manatees to be seen on the West Coast, which is, I know you're in the Gulf, but if you go down the West Coast, there's plenty of manatees to be seen.
Okay. Because I really, really want to meet a manatee. They're just like
they're all like, hi, how are you?
Right? I'm your best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a guy that I follow. He's a photographer on Instagram. I wish I remembered his name because his pictures are like so amazing. But he goes paddleboarding all the time and he's got all these like pictures of manatees like just chilling with him. And I'm like, want that to happen.
Want that. Me too. Want that.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Oh my
definitely.
goodness. Well, I want to hear more about your surfing, but we're going to have to do that for another day, unless your losing it story has something to do with surfing. But I am pretty intrigued about a gal from Nebraska who's like
learning to surf
and clearly knows how to surf now. My son's a surfer. My son actually shapes surfboards too.
Wow.
Something he started doing during the pandemic. And he's now like he made one for himself. He made one for his girlfriend. He's making one for a friend. Yeah.
That's really cool. And it takes a lot of patience and so many skills.
I grew up in Southern California. In Palos Verdes, if you know, right down the coast. And my first, 5 boyfriends were surfers.
Yep.
So they're beautiful, those surfers.
Yeah, they are.
They are beautiful.
They are. That's one thing. I mean, you can definitely just say, oh, well, I'm going to paddle out. And you can just sit on your board and just like watch
just look
the beautiful people.
Just look at shoulders and yeah.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. If you